G'day guys, it's Tim Guest, Australia's leading financial educator and managing director of Infinite Wealth. I hope everyone has had a fantastic week and it's really great to be here. Of course, if you're a long-time follower, welcome back. And if this is the first time that you're tuning in, it's really great to meet you. The only thing that we ask with these videos, we always want to get you guys interaction and feedback here. So if you have comments, questions, queries, or of course, loves, angries, we want to get constant feedback from you guys about what you think about this content and the value that it's delivering. And the only thing that I ask in return for sharing my valuable knowledge with you guys is that you share it with your friends and family. It allows us to continue to build a bigger audience, and it's also what keeps me inspired to continue to do these videos. Today, what we're out to talk about is guarantors. Now, let's also talk about and kind of tie this in very closely with first home buyers. Despite what a lot of people think right now, first home buyer activity is actually the highest that it has been in the last 5 to 6 years. We've got to be a little bit careful about the narratives that we keep seeing out there in the media. We're talking about the unaffordability of housing and how hard it is for young people to get into homes and whether they ever will or not. One of the things that really confuses this conversation is often the correlation that's made between wages and house prices. Please remember that wage growth and house price growth have never been linked. And the easiest way to compare this is that one of the ways that the banks have always made houses more affordable is the loan terms, okay? I mean, we now have 30-year loan terms. There's 40-year loans available at the moment. That wasn't the case if you go back 15, 20 years ago. It's 25-year loans, 20-year loans. Okay, and really the best way to measure housing affordability is what percentage of the wage is taken up by an average mortgage, okay? So, and this is far lower than it's been probably in the last 20, 25 years. It was up to close to 40% in the 80s, whereas nowadays it's much closer to 30%. So, a couple of things to keep in mind, but let's talk about guarantors. A couple of big myths that we commonly hear and what actually inspired me to do this video today was a conversation I was having yesterday with a young person who was looking at buying her first home next year and was considering the guarantor option, but thought it wasn't really a workable option. So what I want to cover off when it comes to utilizing guarantors, more and more nowadays, and the hard part for young people to come up with is the deposit. Particularly if you're looking at a 5% deposit or 10% deposit, you're talking a lot of money to be able to get into a home, okay? And of course, mums and dads are more and more becoming guarantors to enable their children to get into housing. But what does it really mean? Firstly, the biggest myth that I see out there is people think that if you're going to be a guarantor for someone else to get a home, it means that what you're doing is guaranteeing the entirety of the loan. That's actually not the case at all. When you're going guarantor, you're not guaranteeing the entire loan, okay? The risk or the exposure that you have on that entire loan isn't under you, it's actually only the deposit. So normally what they're looking for is a security of a 20%. So like what would normally be a 20% deposit to buy a house, that's all you're guaranteeing. So obviously exposure is a lot less than guaranteeing the whole house. Okay, now here's also how it will go. If by chance, because of course your exposure is only real if the person stops paying their mortgage. So how does that play out? So if the person stops paying their mortgage, the first thing that'll happen is the bank will step in and take the house. They'll sell the house and they'll look to recuperate the funds. If the sale of the house doesn't recuperate the funds, then they will go after the guarantee. What do I mean by that? The person who actually took out the loan for the house, not the guarantor. Okay, so it could be things like their assets, like their car, etc. If they have any other property or investments, they will then actually source those assets to recuperate any funds that weren't recuperated through the sale of the house. Okay, from there, it's only after that they will then actually come and approach the guarantor. Okay, so in reality, of course, the sale of the house will most likely cover most of the funds. Then they go after the assets of the actual guarantee. If those assets don't cover the funds, it's then only that very probably small exposure that's left over that the guarantor is liable for. And of course, that's all based on the fact that the guarantee didn't pay their mortgage, which chances are they're not going to do. And if they did get into mortgage stress, they'd sell the house anyway, okay? So that's the first thing. The other thing that sometimes people think of, and the other myth that I want to crash when it comes to guarantors as well, there's no actual financial liability. So it's not like that you have to pull money out as equity or put money down to guarantee someone's loan. Really, all this involves is a second mortgage. Typically, if this is the major banks that are doing it, it'll typically be done via a second mortgage on your existing security, i.e. you know, mum and dad have lived in their house for, I don't know, 10 years, 20 years. They've got equity in their home. They want to use that equity to provide the guarantor for the kids to get a loan. Basically what happens is that, you know, maybe, you know, I don't know, mum and dad are with bank, say A, right? Say they're with Commonwealth Bank or something along those lines, but maybe who's best for the kids to go put their loan through is National Australia Bank. What will typically happen is National Australia Bank will just put a second mortgage on the house that may be with the Commonwealth Bank. It doesn't mean there's any transfer of funds, and the fact that you're with two different banks doesn't cause a problem at all. So the reality is that being a guarantor, your exposure is nowhere near as much as what people think. And because it's simply a process of the children doing an application, getting probably a valuation, really all that really needs to happen is a valuation on that property, then signing some paperwork. It's actually a really easy process. And of course, that will be the thing that allows you know, mum and dad to help, maybe the kids, to get their step on the first rung of the property ladder. Much easier than what you thought. So guys, that's pretty much it for me. Like I said, just wanted to bust those myths about guarantors. Don't forget, like I said in the beginning of the video, we love to get your interaction. So please comments, questions, or if you want me to do videos about other things, please put that in the comment box below. And please, you know, share this video with your friends and family. There could be someone out there that this really helps, and it enables us to continue building our audience and inspiring me to do these videos. Guys, big weekend of footy this weekend. Don't know whether your team's playing or not. Mine is the West Coast Eagles. I hope that doesn't change your alliances here at all. Go the Eagles, and have a great weekend. I'll do another video with you guys next week. Thanks a lot, guys. Ciao.